Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but hey, if you do, go back, get caught up at your leisure. Damn it, we got you covered. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the show, both to iTunes, where you, no doubt, rate, review, 5 stars at all times. Makes my partner over there, Tom Lang, so happy when you do. If you email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. By the way, the archived audio also has the show, and so does the WTSM app. So there's just so many avenues. On Twitter, did I say that? At J Cameron Show. Hey, YouTubers and Periscopers, I hope the world's treating you well today. And by the way, we get some action tonight, I think, right? Is that right?
Yes, there's action. So I think it's for the next 3+ weeks. We have football every single night in some variety.
All right. That's what I need is a massive amount of distractions on a nightly basis.
It's good to see you. Really haven't seen you much today. So what'd you find out? Who we signing? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
How was Bob? Did you talk to him?
I did not talk to Bob. It's funny. I watched all of that mess play out yesterday on Twitter. And, I had a bunch of people saying, why aren't you keeping up with the Joneses, Jeff? Everybody's got a son in Bob Stoops. And it was because it was nagging at me that a few people that I knew were like, yeah, no, that's not happening. It may happen, but it's not happening tonight. It's not happening tomorrow, and it's not happening Thursday, and everybody needs to slow their roll. And the more I dug around, the more I found out that there was no imminent plan. Let's put it that way. His hire was not imminent the way that it was being reported, that it was not going to be something that he was not in town yesterday. Bob Stoops was not here yesterday, folks. And he didn't go eat at the Blue Halo. He wasn't walking around campus because he wasn't here.
He didn't turn around because he heard our conversation on these airwaves and said, "The hell with this job. I don't want it."
Nope, he didn't.
Okay.
Now, you could have ruined it had he been here. I know. You're skepticism, but I
would have been like a Joe Mixon punch to the face to his chances.
That's right. We couldn't. Hey, listen, trying to win some games. So what ended up happening was that I thought it would be best to lay back in the cut and take a closer look at what we were getting out there, and so let's vet this a little bit further. That's what everybody wants to know. Is Bob Stoops a candidate, as in from Florida State's vantage point, meaning he's a guy they would go after? Let's just start with that. Is Bob Stoops that somebody that Florida State would reach out to, would contact to gauge interest in the job at Florida State University? The answer to that is yes. Yes, Bob Stoops is somebody that Florida State would be interested in and is interested in. Is he the only candidate? No, he's not. First of all, you're not hiring a search firm so that, they can zero in on the one candidate you got. They're going to give you a list of people that might meet your criteria.
Well, the release today came out. It says that FSU has enlisted the help of a search firm, but I would imagine that, the search firm at least has been on the phone with Florida State for a little bit longer than the last 24 hours, right?
Sure. These things are worked out in advance. It doesn't happen overnight. You're like, just call up Jerry at the search firm. Get Jerry on this. Yo, Jerry, it's David. So listen. No, it doesn't work that way. We need a guy. So that'd be great. But anyhow, no, I'm sure they've been in contact, and there's been, some form of communication for some time now that if this happens, we might be interested in searching or taking a look around the country for candidates at our head coaching position. Just saying. We got some games to play here, and if they go a certain way, we might be interested in your services. So, be on the lookout. If you talk to anybody, maybe let it be known. It's kind of like when you start to think that maybe you're going to sell your house. Thinking about looking around, if I could find something that meets my criteria, that is in this price range, in this neighborhood, this many bedrooms, this many bath, this price range, I might do it. Got to do some things to my house first, though. So hold off. Don't let anybody know just yet. We'll get a realtor when the time comes. Anyhow, I think that kind of conversation, like, this hasn't gone the way that we had hoped, but we might be interested. We got some things to play out first, and let's see. So I think that it's probably been word on the street for some time that Florida State is interested perhaps in the services of somebody else if things went a certain way with the schedule. And then they did. And now they are in earnest looking for a head coach. But the thing of it, all jokes aside, the thing of it with, I know they want to hire somebody by the end of the month, before the end of the month even, which makes a lot of sense. But if you're going to go out and go after a Bob Stoops, and we talked about this a lot, you'll hear it on some of the headlines today, I think Bob Stoops makes sense. I get it for stability purposes. He's a name with an awful lot of cachet. He would bring instant credibility to your program again. He resonates with recruits. He's one of the few active, or he would be an active coach, with a national championship to his name. I mean, and he's not old. He's not young, but he's not old. He's 59, not 69. So, okay, he's got some juice left in the tank. I got it. So I could see why you would want to go after a guy like that. But a guy like that, whose agent is Bill Belichick's agent, and Kirk Ferentz agent, and we know the sweetheart deal Kirk Ferentz has at Iowa. You can't fire Kirk Ferentz, Jesus. Anyhow, so here's the thing. That guy's going to want a lot of stuff. He's going to make a lot of demands, especially because there's a degree of uncertainty surrounding Florida State right now. So it's not just like, hey, Bob's going to want $8 million a year. Do we have it? Well, clearly when Florida State made the decision to fire Willie Taggart, that they decided money can't be an object right now. We got to get this right. We got to get a guy in here that is going to lead to an uptick in booster contributions, season ticket sales, and enthusiasm surrounding Florida State football. Well, you're not going to get that on the cheap. You got to go hire somebody with a name, either a rock star up-and-coming coach or an established coach, and they're going to want real money. And if he's got a national championship to his name, he's going to want like real money, like $7-8 million a year. So clearly at that point, as one booster told me yesterday, money was not going to be the object, that they were going to have to bite the bullet here and understand that they're going to get it back on the back end of the long-term deal in which they start winning football games again, because that is abundantly clear now that you better win with football for the economics of the university and that athletic. You got to win. You got to win. So they're going to go all in on that. So salary per year is not going to be the issue. But what might be is if that guy says, well, I want this, and this for my football ops staff. I want this for the athletic department. I want this many recruiting assistants and all these other things, because Bob Stoops was working for one of the most prestigious football programs in the history of college football. Oklahoma is rarefied air. This is as a storied a program as you'll find. This is akin to Ohio State, Michigan. You name your great programs of all time, Notre Dame. Oklahoma is amongst them. And he had a president and AD that he worked for and with for every year he was there. They were the same guy. Those two people stayed the same. The stability at Oklahoma was rock solid while he was there. He would look at this situation and say, got an outgoing president, don't have an AD, or you do, but he's temporary, and you want me to come in and I don't really know who I'm going to be working for, and I'm not real sure about your athletic department with all the rumors out there about how things are run at Florida State. You got a new booster situation going on. I don't know. I'm going to want some assurances, and I'm going to want some of my people. What does that mean? Well, that means you got to fire this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and I'm going to bring in my people, which means I want total control of your athletic department. So, okay, how much are you willing to acquiesce? How much are you willing to give in? Because you've put yourself over a barrel now. You have to get this right. He has shown the ability to run a program the magnitude of Oklahoma exceptionally well, if you will. So you might be inclined to say yes to an awful lot of demands. But it doesn't get done tomorrow. It doesn't get done by Thursday. It would have to get done over a pretty significant period of time, say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. At least 10 days. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through to make that happen. And who knows if it ever happens. He may not be. I know what Kirk Herbstreit tweeted today. I know what many people have said today. I got a source, it's a pretty good source, I'll tell you that, who said it's not imminent. So we should, pump the brakes a little bit. He's not been ruled out. He's not saying that he wouldn't do it, but he certainly hasn't said that he would. So that's where we're at with Bob. Bob may not be coming here at all. He may just be one of the names that you're going to hear, along with a P.J. Fleck, along with a Tony Elliott from Clemson, along with a whomever you want to point to.
PJ just successfully got his extension at Minnesota. It came down about 20, 30 minutes ago.
Well, there you go. I didn't want PJ anyhow, but a lot of guys will use Florida State now, as they do every year whenever this funny season hits and people fire coaches. They will now go in and gain their leverage and utilize it for, obviously, financial gain. They will get their raise, in other words. What I want Florida State to do is be very careful. And I would think that they're going to be very careful here. Let's not forget how stupid Tennessee looked as they were going through this process. 8 different candidates, basically. I mean, hell, Dave Doran said no to freaking Tennessee. I mean, it doesn't get lower than that. I mean, you were going through and watching one coach after the other go, no, that's all right. And then at the end, I mean, you really think that's what they wanted to do?
Well, ho par ho, man.
I mean, that you think they really said in those meetings, okay, listen, on the list, because we do it annually, John Gruden. You know, his wife was a cheerleader here. In addition to Gruden, we want, and then whatever the hell list they had, right? So do you think that at any point in those meetings they went, what about Jeremy Pruitt? No. That was, okay, well, the whole freaking world of the coaching tree has said no. What do we do? Jeremy Pruitt will do it for $5. Okay, call Jeremy. Jesus, we got to have a coach. So there you go. You don't want to be that. You don't want to do that. Have a group of candidates. Do your due diligence. Try to keep it under wraps and make a good hire. The problem is, I really do think that you don't make the decision to fire Willie Taggart, which I get why they did it. And I don't have a problem with firing Willie Taggart. I don't think things were going to get better here. But you don't do that and commit the dollars necessary for both the buyout and then the incoming coaching staff if you're going to turn around and hire somebody that doesn't have an awful lot of pizzazz, of cachet, as I like to say, who doesn't have a whole lot of curating, if you will, to use the TV terms. I would say you don't spend $23 million to bring in Mark Stoops. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Mark Stoops is a bad football coach. He's not. I don't think you do all this to bring in Mark Stoops. That's all I'm saying. So you're kind of limiting your pool.
So PJ gets a 7-year contract that runs through 2026. It's being approved by the Board of Regents. That's according to Adam Rittenberg from about a half an hour ago. He would have qualified on that short list, on that narrowed list?
I think he'd have been a candidate, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's got Minnesota undefeated, for Christ's sakes. I think a lot of people would have looked at that and said, he's doing a good job at a place where it's impossible to do a good job. Some of that is smoke and mirrors. I mean, if you go through this Minnesota schedule, I mean, geez, they've really benefited from some very fortunate set of circumstances. Like everybody they play has their quarterback get hurt in the middle of the game, which has actually literally happened. But anyhow, go ahead.
So he's out. Bob is on the fence. Click over here, click over there. You hear completely different stories about what the status is and how imminent any deal would be, or the no deal whatsoever is ever going to happen.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody knows that when I'm talking about Bob Stoops, I'm not saying Bob Stoops won't be the head coach at Florida State, but I'm certainly telling people, let's slow our roll here. That deal is not, unless something changes dramatically, and it could. These are fluid situations, admittedly. But based on what you heard last night, it was a done deal. He's keeping Briles as his head coach and waiting. Levitt will be retained and be the defensive coordinator. They've wrapped it up. It's done. They're going to announce it as early as Thursday at noon. Let's hold off on all that. And I don't think that is an accurate report.
Okay. So I hope we haven't keyholed ourselves into a place where we do look foolish, because if that's your pool, if you're saying that you don't spend $23 million, is that just your opinion?
That's my opinion.
Okay.
My opinion is you don't spend $23 million or more to hire somebody that is not going to resonate immediately with recruits and provide stability for an unstable situation.
So let's just say it was Mark Stoops, just because that it seems to fit the bill of the uninspiring hire, right? And
I think Mark Stoops is a good football coach. It's funny. There's
That's why I want to get into this.
This is nuanced, man, because here's the deal. Mark Stoops is a good football coach. There's no doubt. You don't win 10 games at Kentucky by accident. You have had to do the dirty work, and you've had to get in there and bring in the right kind of guys and get them to play hard for you and smart for you. But Mark Stoops is not the name that is going to salvage this recruiting class and save, I don't think, is going to really, really resonate with recruits and get Florida State rolling again immediately. I think you can do better.
Okay, first question would be, can we get rolling immediately? Like, is that possible? Is that a thing?
I mean, in terms of recruiting and getting people excited about your program again?
Okay.
Yeah.
Versus, wins, losses wise.
No, you've got some problems on the field that you're going to have to fix, but yeah.
All right, so let me play a game then real quick. So it's Saturday. We're walking out of Doak. The game's over. We lost. We look like ass again. And I say, I can offer you a trade right now. These are the only terms of the trade. You can't, change any of them.
Can't negotiate.
You could trade Willie for Mark Stoops heading into next season right now. What would you do?
Yeah, I'd do that.
You still would. Mark Stoops, not Bob.
No, as we were walking out of the stadium on Saturday, I'd have traded Willie for, a bag of rocks at that point. I mean,
Okay.
I think we were all
How about Sunday?
confounded with how we could continue to look that terrible.
How about this morning when your alarm, you wake up at 5, 6 in the morning, whatever it is? Because if you're just
You're
evaluating,
telling me I got no other options?
Well, what I'm telling you is, the point is,
you might as well just held on to him for another year?
No, that's what I'm asking you, because you're saying, you don't spend $23 million to get rid of Willie to go get Mark Stoops.
I don't think you do that, no. I think then I might have seriously considered
standing pat.
You could.
I don't know. What kind of staff would you have had under him? What kind of situation would they felt there was no upside to waiting? That's what they said. There's no upside to letting this thing play out,
because 6-6 isn't good enough, and they were continuously disorganized, and the on-field losses are bad enough. But again, losses happen for a reason, and if the reason is you're ill-prepared to play football and you're disorganized behind the scenes, then that result is unacceptable. If it's because you don't have good enough players, which we also don't along the offensive line, but if that's the only reason, you can live with losses. But it wasn't. It was all the other stuff too.
Yeah.
Willie got let down by the coaches he hired and the football ops that he brought in, the people that he brought in. I believe he was betrayed by those people. Now, I think he was trying to do the right thing and hire people that he knew, that had been with him and had worked well with him, that he trusted, but I don't think they were ready for prime time. And I don't think they understood the extent of the pressures and the details and the things that have to happen for Florida State to operate at peak efficiency. Either they weren't willing to do the work necessary, or they didn't understand it and they were in over their head. I choose to believe it's the latter. So to me, that's really where Willie failed, and then didn't learn after year one that he needed to extricate himself from that situation and bring in some other people. Now, he did try to bring in he did bring in an offensive coordinator, et cetera. But
right. So my point would be, you do spend the $23 million because you know it ain't going to work with this guy, and but Mark might not be choice one, but
if you're gonna do that, to me, I don't think you fire him right after that game, basically, unless you have a plan in place, a discernible plan in place. Candidate A, B, C, D, E.
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do.
Okay, well, that's important.
And they've afforded themselves more time.
They've afforded themselves more time, and so long as they have a plan. Listen, this isn't Bob Stoops or bust.
Sure.
I know everybody feels that way right now because they got excited about the name. If they don't get Bob Stoops, not the end of the world. I think it would have been a stabilizing hire. But as long as, and I don't know the answer to this question, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, and I'm continuing to fish and try to find out more information on this. But if you tell me, okay, it was we think we can get Bob Stoops, and then you don't, and then we're sitting here with nothing in our hands, that's a problem. If you tell me, hey, we're going to make a run at Bob, don't know if we can get him. He may want the world, so we're not sure we're willing to give up all that. But we'll see. Bob's on the list, but Bob ain't the only guy on the list. We also like this guy, this guy, this guy, and we're going to talk about it with their agents and everything else. Okay, fine. I just hope that there is that kind of plan in place.
Well, for me, here's where the time we live in is important. If signing day was still in February, I wouldn't have agreed with this.
Right.
No way.
You would have just waited.
You let it play out. but signing day isn't then anymore. I know
the
that there
early
is
signing period has changed the reality in college football, and it's going to lead to more coaches being fired in season. It is a fact.
And you're talking about 70-80% of the programs that are doing it the right way, the way that we need to be doing it in order to get people to drive up here and spend their money and buy season tickets, all that stuff. Yeah, they have 80% of their class signing in December, so you have to do it now. That's why I think in this instance, in 2019, they've got to have a plan. Their plan is that they got to give themselves more time to get some answers. Even if they don't have everything lined out, this affords them a couple of precious weeks. It's a signal to the college football world. The agents, the coaches, we're open for business here. You don't have to speculate about whether or not this job is going to – it's open, man.
Yeah, no, listen, it is no doubt open. So you think about – let's take a quick break because we have to. I was thinking about the kinds of candidates that would right now be willing to take this job. And just given the circumstances behind the scenes with an outgoing president and an AD that is temporary, for that matter, sort of the limbo that Florida State finds itself in right now and what that looks like to a candidate from afar and his agent. And I thought about a couple of guys – a couple of guys or types of guys that would take the job, I should say. Sorry. And I'll talk about it next. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Right, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
At Sport Clips Haircuts, we're on a mission to help our veterans with their education. In 2013, we established the VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship Program. With the help of your generous donations, we've raised over $6 million and awarded more than 1,400 scholarships across the country. Visit Sport Clips today and help a hero. And on Veterans Day, November 11th, Sport Clips will donate an additional $1 for every haircut we give. Help us continue this honorable mission.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the social agreement. You and a buddy can split one order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Did you know a fire department responds to a fire every 24 seconds? First Alerters remind you to install smoke and seal alarms on every level and in every bedroom of your home. And always remember to test your alarms regularly and replace the batteries every 6 months. To eliminate the need for battery replacements, install 10-year sealed battery alarms. Also, alarms don't last forever. Remember to replace at least every 10 years. Learn more about reliable protection you can trust at firstalert.com and visit Lowe's stores today.
It's happening. Wherever plays are being made, tickets are being sold, and fans are lining up. ADP is designing a better way to work. With industry-leading HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll, more companies rely on ADP than any other HR partner to help step up their game. From small business to global enterprise. See how ADP can help you and your people achieve what you're working for at design.adp.com. ADP, always designing for people.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
As sports fans, we all know this is the best time of the year, and the best places to catch all the action are at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and 7th Hill Tap Room. If you're a fan of an action-packed environment, the Corner Pocket is the place to be. Happy hour specials every day, including all day on Sundays, with sports in HD everywhere you look. For location hours and menu, head to cptallybar.com. Whether you're feeling the upstairs at the Corner Pocket or lounging down at the 7th Hill Tap Room, your game day is always covered. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, right next to Earth Fair.
Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is the Jeep headquarters of America. We've purchased over 100 Jeep Renegades, and they've all arrived and are on the lot for immediate delivery. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude with MSRP starting at $25,120. On sale now for $18,870. That's a savings of $6,250. A new Jeep starting at only $18,870. Those prices are unheard of and can only be found at your Jeep headquarters of America, Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings. We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fee. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives.
Fire the cannons.
Fire them cannons!
97.9 ESPN Radio is Tallahassee's flagship station for Tampa Bay Buccaneers football.
Winston hands the ball off, and Barber up the middle of the 10. 3, 2, 1. He's got a Tampa Bay touchdown.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers football on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you in part by Metro Deli in downtown Tallahassee. Metro Deli, Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Dedicated to the one and only
Bobby Womack.
Come on in from the storm.
Well done, sir. I thought about this earlier today. I was actually listening to, did I just say I was assing? I don't even know what that means. I was assing.
I was associating. That's what I would take it as. ASS''N.
I was assing. I can think of all kinds of funny things to say about that. Anyhow, I was actually sitting back listening to a little Peter Wolf earlier. But, okay, so here's to continue the conversation. I think that when this job opened up, you know, you're gonna get a couple of people who would want one more shot to make a run at a national championship. This is one of those universities that you can do that with. And I want to remind people, because whenever this happens, you know, people want to weigh in on social media about what Florida State is or is not as it sits currently. But what we do know, because we're not too far removed from watching it play out, that if you have the right guy, given where Florida State sits, given its history, and given the administration's dedication to winning in football, you can win national championships here. You can't say that about an awful lot of universities. I made this point yesterday on the show, but if you go up and down the SEC, up and down the Big Ten, up and down the Big 12, all the Power 5 conferences, and you can eliminate some teams pretty quick that even when they're operating at peak efficiency, even when they're at their very best with a great coach who's convinced a surprising number of pretty elite recruits to say yes, they're not going to get there. They're just not going to be good enough. They're not going to be deep enough. They're not going to have the talent and the wherewithal, save for to make a crazy run once in a blue moon. It's like when Michigan State made the college football playoff. That's great. They were never really a contender to win it all. And moreover, that is once in a blue moon. They're not good enough. They don't have good enough players. These days they can't score points. But the point would be they quickly faded from existence and went back to being Michigan State. And they're not a realistic candidate to compete for national titles.
No, the playoff berth should be a banner that they hang.
I mean, like a gigantic flag that
pledge
everybody
allegiance
sees.
to.
Yeah. I mean,
like, as a Michigan State Spartan.
Right. You're not winning a national championship at Texas Tech. You're not. You're not going to. So you can go up and down the list. Washington State, Leach has done a good job, ain't winning a national championship. So you can start eliminating a lot of teams in the Pac-12, the ACC, the Big Ten, the S. Wake Forest is not winning a national championship. They are not. Duke is not either. You can go through and do this. Kentucky's not either in football. So on and so on and so forth. But you know where you can win a national title? Right here in Tallahassee, Florida. Absolutely. You can win multiple national titles. You can keep going. If you've got a guy that's really, really rolling. I mean, you had a coach here, not too distant, background there. We go back and talk about Jimbo and all the things that went wrong, but he was here 3 years ago. And that guy had won 29 straight games at one point. Now, it went to hell in a handbasket, and he had some personal problems off the field, but my goodness gracious, he showed you what could be done in a hurry, right? So that makes this job very attractive. Very attractive. The recruiting pool here is exceptional. We know that. You're going to get a guy maybe who thinks, man, I want to make a go of it. I've always wanted to make a go of it. I'm kind of stuck here. I've done a good job. I'm a big name, but I can't win what I want to win. I want to make a run at a national title, and Florida State is interested in me. I'm going to listen. That guy is going to listen. And then there's the other guy who would jump at the chance to coach Florida State. Willie Taggart fell in this category because you're never going to get a better offer. You're never going to get a better offer. It's right now. You're 40 years old. You're 44 years old, and you're stuck at Iowa State, and they call you. Man, you better take that job. You better take that Florida State job. There are no guarantees that this is going to keep rolling over here at, Memphis. You're going to have to take that gig, okay? Because the door, the opportunity, it's knocking. Guys that are firmly established at successful places where you can already win a national championship, those guys, I don't think they're coming because we're in a bit of disarray right now.
It's interesting. You bring up all these points of, what's great about the program, and then we know from talking the last couple of days that, listen, this has not been a pretty picture for 2+ years here, more like 3 and change. And I just wonder, when you get down to the negotiating table, who's got the leverage? I guess it depends on the candidate.
Who you're talking to.
But still.
If you're talking to Bob, he does.
Right.
If you're talking to Matt Campbell, I don't know.
I still think if you're a Matt Campbell or let's just say that some of the candidates eliminate themselves from the pool. So P.J. Fleck, for example.
He just took the 7-year extension.
Who took a 7-year extension from Minnesota. Unless he has like a 15-day opt-out or something like that he has built into it.
Yeah.
I do think that if you are a good agent for one of these coaches, and it might just be Jimmy Sexton the entire time, you sit down at the table and you say, well, you guys really need us, though, don't you? I mean, I understand this is a preeminent university, but we do need these extra things to be attached to the deal. Mm-hmm. First of all, you just fired somebody in 23 months. And secondly, you haven't won 7 games in a season in the regular season in quite a few years now. What can you do for us to assure that we're going to be here 3 and 4 years from now, and we have a fair chance at this thing, and to do it our way, not like the Florida State way, and then we'll fit in somehow with my client and his assistants.
Yeah, well,
he gets to do it his way from the top down.
Yeah, well, to be sure, anybody that is going to listen to this offer now is going to have an agent that says, hey, man, my guy ain't getting fired in 2 years. That's not happening.
And you guys need my guy.
And you're going to write that in the contract. It's not happening. But Florida State's also not in a position to be firing people after all of this in a few years.
I'm just saying Florida State might be in a position to make more concessions than, say, with the Willie hire.
Oh, this is a much different set of circumstances here. Once you've gone down this road now, things have changed. And also, we were in a great hurry the last time, which is another reason why they did what they did here with the timeline. Because the last time I think both sides felt hurried. And I really believe Willie got hurt by that. I mean, the university did too. Obviously, it didn't work out. But they didn't have a lot of time to vet this situation, the candidates, right? They fell in love with a guy, and we were full bore. And Willie, once he said yes, had to go about the business of trying to salvage a recruiting class, but also put together a staff really on the fly. And I think that really hurt him, ultimately. He would have had more time if it had been under the old timelines for recruiting and everything else. Instead, he had like 12 days to get that done. And I think he was hurt by that. It's a shame, but that's just the set of circumstances that befell both the university and the candidate. And now you learn your lesson. Both sides probably learn a very valuable lesson.
Sure, if you're a coach, take a cautionary lesson from this tale, which is have a B list and a C list and a D list.
Yeah,
because
have people you're ready to grab. Yeah, you got to know.
It can't be, what about that guy?
Walt Bell seems good. Yeah, you can't do that, right? You can't fall into somebody. You better know, I like this guy, and if I can't get him, I want this guy, and if I can't get him, I want this guy. Now, that pool is only going to be so deep, but you do probably have to have more than...
if you're under a compressed reality, which is most of these firings, I don't think it's going to shift just yet. Like the trend of, week 10 or week 9 college football firings are going to become the norm like now. It'll probably be in about 5 more years. I think that the standard, though, should be, all right, if I'm going to take another job, I've got like 72 hours to make these decisions. So I better have like a Rolodex, not a small list, not an index card. Friggin' Rolodex of all these coaches that I would call in case of emergency.
I think, what's going to be interesting is Bob Stoops, not Noops. Bob Noops, a very underrated coach, by the way. But Bob Stoops, okay, so that name's out there.
If he comes here and fails, that's his name, Bob Noops.
Freaking Noops! So we got it. Bob Stoops is out there. That's the name, and we're interested, and we'll see if he's interested in continuing the conversation. But what I am interested in is the other names, because I do think you'd prefer to make a splash. I don't know that they can sell the fan base on Tony Elliott, but I like Tony Elliott a lot. And anybody would ever sit down and pull up YouTube or find videos where he's being interviewed and where he's talking, you come away very impressed. We know when we were talking to Andy Staples and David Hale, those two guys have had multiple interviews with him, and they just can't. They gush. They talk about him like that guy can't miss. He's brilliant. He's organized. He's an incredible hard worker. He's obviously been a really good recruiting coordinator and play caller. You got a guy. He'll put together a great staff, et cetera. But the problem is we're in a very unique situation here. I think people are going to want as close to a sure thing as you can find, and while there are no guarantees, taking a risk on a guy that's never been a head coach is going to rub people the wrong way, I think. Not everybody, but quite a few people.
For me personally, I think stability matters more than splash because of where we are as a program, because of where we are as an athletic department right now. I know that's not the sexy answer. And obviously, whoever we're on the roller coaster, I don't have the steering wheel to the roller coaster. I'm just sitting here along for the ride like everybody else. But if it were me, I'd prefer somebody that has a high floor, and then if that means that in 3 or 4 years that we need to take that next step, let's take the first one. The first one's really important. We didn't take that first step with Willie because people aren't coming here. They aren't spending their money. I mean, it was a no-brainer before he was done 2 years in that we had to let him go because of the economics of the situation. So let's improve those economics if we can. I know a splash would do that in the short term, but what would that do in year 2 if it's the same thing as Willie, where everybody feels the love for the first 9 months of this experiment, and then the games are played, and you realize, oh, well, it doesn't feel as cool as it did for the spring game. I don't know that I'll be back next year.
Yeah, I think what will be interesting, and there certainly is a reason, by the way, for whoever the new guy is to come out and say, we've got some work to do, as opposed to, this is not a rebuild, this is a quick fix on the fly. I've got real good football players. I mean, you don't want to do that.
In general, even if you believe that, you shouldn't say it.
No,
because
you gotta
then
undersell,
you look like you came from the football gods themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, this was a rebuild.
So, real quick, if we're only looking at names that would create waves, and certainly would be something that people would say, hey, that seems like a really good, solid hire, has been a head coach, has done a good job. He's either won with less or he's already at a preeminent football power, and he's won consistently. Well, that's a small list of people at this point that you're pulling from. It would be Matt Campbell at Iowa State, who's, I think, 39 years old and has won at Iowa State of all places and has an outstanding reputation, but has, over the years, been somebody that's linked to more Big Ten jobs. Like, a lot of people believe he's Midwest roots, wants to coach a Michigan or Ohio State someday, and he's going to wait it out. He's happy there, or whatever. He'll wait it out. I don't know if that's true or not, but those are the things you read. Those are the things you hear. He's certainly a good candidate because if you can win at Iowa State, Jesus, I mean, you can win just about anywhere, right? Okay, so there's that. James Franklin is probably the other really big name who's a real good football coach and a very good recruiter and who has won. And he's currently doing so at Penn State, obviously. And the reason his name would be in the mix is because we kicked the tires on Franklin when we went through the Willie hire. Franklin was a guy we know Florida State spoke to. So he's already been reached out to by Florida State before.
That wasn't exactly a buttoned-up operation when he took it over either. So
no, and he's done a very good job.
Mm-hmm.
And he can recruit. So, I mean, I think that would be a hit. Now,
is that a lateral move since he's built that thing into something?
No, I
Is
think
it an unnecessary risk for James to do that, to take a move like that?
it depends on how he feels about Penn State. Like, I think when Penn State is operating at peak efficiency, they're still going to lag behind Ohio State every year that Ohio State's good or that, you know.
Well, and to be clear, I'm not talking about, does Penn State's path, is it a lateral move? Like Florida State's path, I think, is more real than Penn State's. But you got to come back to, like, unlearning some stuff because he's built that into something where people show up on the weekends. And he's got to come down here where people don't want to show up on the weekends for the big games because they know that they're going to lose. So is it a worthy risk, given the fact that, there could be a huge payoff, but Penn State is looking pretty consistent right now?
I would choose Florida State over Penn State any day of the week. I'm biased, but the pool of athletes to choose from is much greater at this institution. And I'd go all in on Florida State if I were James Franklin. Now, if you're a Big Ten guy or you're a supporter of Penn State, you might argue Penn State's tradition is greater than that of Florida State's, and I'd say that's true. But I mean, we're not hiring on tradition here. We're on potential to win a national title, and I think it's greater at Florida State than it is Penn State. But I don't know how he feels, but I'd certainly talk to him about it.
I guess in short, I wonder if a candidate like that looks at this job and says boom or bust. So do I really want to take a boom or bust risk?
If you can have more control.
Yeah.
To go along with.
Back to the leverage at the table.
Yeah. I mean, I think certain big names would have an awful lot of leverage here. But, it's funny. You can go anywhere you want. I've looked at a lot of different odds from various websites about who they think the next head coach will be. Bet Online had one that they released with Iowa State at 3-1 odds. Mark Stoops at 4-1. James Franklin at 5-1. Bob Stoops at 5-1. Saw all that. For some reason, people keep listing Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is not going to be a candidate for Florida State. Just get rid of that right now. He's not coming here. Urban Meyer, we don't want him, and he's not coming here. The feeling is mutual. He can go to hell. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Help you can get, and it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
No Fans, 97.9 ESPN Radio's exclusive home for 2019 away game watch parties is Hangar 38 in Bannerman Crossing.
Looking for the slant. This time Terry's got it, and he's into the end zone. That's a Florida State touchdown.
The Jeff Cameron Show crew will be on hand for every Seminole away football game for contests, prizes, and a good time.
They'll feed it to him again. Look out. Touchdown!
So when the Knowles hit the road, join us at Hangar 38 in Bannerman Crossing, the exclusive watch party headquarters for 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee's sports monster.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Oh no, this car ride's taking forever. I hate blindfolds. No more of these. Where are we going?
Bumpus Local 349.
Yay! I love Bumpus Local 349. It's a local business.
I wish they had piñatas.
Me too. But I think I'm going to order the Dolphin Reuben instead.
You know, it's not really dolphin.
Yes, it must be mahi, right?
Delicious.
Yes.
Eat local, be local, and drink local at Bumpus Local 349.
Help me with my blindfold.
Just like football, when it comes to the court of law, you're going to need a solid defense. I'm Michael D. Blank, attorney with the Law Office of Jose Fernandez in Tallahassee. At the Law Office of Jose Fernandez, there is never an upfront fee, and if we don't recover, then you don't pay anything. Our team is dedicated to handling all types of accident, injury, negligence, malpractice, and wrongful death cases. If you're unable to come to us, we can come to you day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, for your free consultation today. The Law Office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid until you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. GRFinjury.com. Go Knowles.
Did you know a fire department responds to a fire every 24 seconds? First Alerters remind you to install smoke and seal alarms on every level and in every bedroom of your home. And always remember to test your alarms regularly and replace the batteries every 6 months. To eliminate the need for battery replacements, install 10-year sealed battery alarms. Also, alarms don't last forever. Remember to replace at least every 10 years. Learn more about reliable protection you can trust at firstalert.com and visit Lowe's stores today.
I'm Michael Blank, attorney with the Law Office of Jose Fernandez. If you've been in an accident, I know this can be a scary and confusing time. Our firm specializes in handling all types of accident and injury cases. Let us guide you through the process and get you the compensation you deserve. Call 855-HOSE-305 to make an appointment for your free consultation today. If you can't come to us, we can come to you day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, the Law Office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid unless you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. Se habla español. JRFinjury.com.
There's an app to save on flights, an app to rent a bike, and an app to help you save for driving safely. The Allstate app gives you real-time driving feedback with DriveWise, giving you the power to lower your insurance cost. In fact, safe drivers can save 40% or more. Connect and save with DriveWise. You're in good hands.
Download the Allstate app today. Savings may vary by state and driving behaviors. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Use of Allstate Mobile with activation of DriveWise required. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, Seminole fans, fall is here, and Garnet and Gold has a great selection of brand new FSU fall apparel in stock right now. Long sleeve t-shirts, jackets, fleece, and sweats from brand names like Nike, Champion, and many others. Get your fall on at Garnet and Gold, owned and operated by Seminoles for Seminoles for nearly 40 years at all three Garnet and Gold locations, West Pensacola Street, in Killarn near Fresh Market, and on Governor Square Boulevard, or shop online 24/7 at garnetandgold.com. Shop local and go Knowles.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have.
All right, so I'll make way for Seminole Headlines here in a few minutes. A lot of talk this show this morning. Seminole Headlines was, as it always is, recorded it early. It's the only time the three of us can get together. But, we do talk about, obviously, the end of Willie Taggart's time here, as well as all of the Bob Stoops stuff and our choices and all that good stuff. But there may be some things that are a little bit dated by just a few hours. Because of when it was recorded. I want to get that out there. So if you're listening to this like, no, guys, Herb Street's already said it, that's why. Secondarily, But I mean, it's not second fiddle. It's just secondarily, I want to say tomorrow night we're going to be at Hangar 38. We appreciate our friends at Hangar 38. They've invested in us and this station and this show, and they are good people with a great product. And we go there for a lot of watch parties. We're going to be there tomorrow for one. In fact, we're going to hang out and watch the basketball team take on Pitt right off the bat. I'm a little nervous about the game. I think Florida State is going to start slow this year in basketball, and don't need everybody jumping off the bridge, but you lose so many minutes, so many points, so many rebounds from last year's team. That's an awful lot to replace. Even if you were just talking about a Terrence Mann or a Kabengele, that's a lot to replace, but there was more. Phil Kofer, et cetera. So you lost a lot.
Well, and Pitt wasn't punchless at home last year. Of course, they seemed to lose every single ACC game after they played us, but they had beaten Louisville in the lead up to hosting us at that very boring establishment that they host their basketball games. But they're not exactly all that experienced.
In that place.
It is.
It's like a ghost town.
It looks like a cafeteria. It
looks like wintertime year-round. Anyhow, so what I would tell you is that you got that, right? All right, so we play Pitt tomorrow in the cafeteria. We'll be at Hangar 38, which is much more festive. And if you want to swing on by, get you a tall, cold one, let your kids run around, play some damn video games, get after it, maybe do some bowling while we watch a little basketball, feel free to do it. It's a good time, good eats, cold beer, good people, plenty of room to watch the ball game. So there's that. And then also, I would note that I think Saturday at noon when we take on BC, which is this great mystery. I have no idea what to expect. I mean, we are still playing football. Doesn't feel much like it, but we are. And I have no idea whether or not they want to play football. I mean, I think that's the great question. I have no idea if going up to Boston is something this team wants to do. Had they not fired Willie Taggart and they had just stayed down the same road here and played out the string, I would have been talking right now about how I think it is Florida State's going to lose to Boston College, and that's going to be a real problem. But instead, I don't know what we're going to get. It's hard for me to know what we're going to get because they may very well rally around an Odell Higgins. They may very well rally and play hard. I mean, I would have guessed that they had no chance to play hard after Saturday, but you don't know. They better want to, because obviously BC is going to line up 250-pound backs and run right at you and test whether or not you want to be a man on that Saturday. BC does that, and I don't know that we're going to want to.
I'm just glad one of the leading figures on this team is Marvin Wilson, and that's a dude who's coached by Odell Higgins. Yeah. And Marvin has bled garnet and gold with a tenure that includes no rivalry wins of any kind.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, if this was your leader of your team was on the offense and Odell coaches the defense, I'd worry about the continuity of the message. But I think the defense is going to come to play. Well, the rest of the team, we shall see.
I actually think the offense could be interesting because that game playing on Saturday, that was nonsense.
Dude,
was ass.
That game on Saturday is just going to be 1 3.5-hour conversation. We're all going to talk about the bigger picture while this little thing known as the Florida State football game is on in the background.
What if they come out there flying, playing at pace, hitting things, looking like they have a clue? Man, that is going to be a damning statement. I doubt it, but what if they do? I mean, good Lord.
You know what happens if that's the case? 4 and Odell Higgins, because we're going to beat Alabama State.
Hey, so let me say this, and it's a thought. What if that guy goes undefeated the rest of the way, including a road win against Florida, and they play hard? We got us an Ed Orgeron situation.
You just take all that money you're going to use on old Bob and you give it to coordinators.
You give it to coordinators
and
support
you say, staff.
Odell, here we go, baby, let's ride.
And pancakes.
Lots of pancakes. Good God, do we need those? Because we have no offensive linemen. And all the love in the world for Odell isn't going to change the fact that we can't block. Still can't freaking block.
Orgeron versus Odell, 3 years from now in the national championship game.
Good work out of you. Good work, Matthews. Seminole Headlines up next. Stay tuned. Be well, everybody.